A simple woman was denied entry to her own airline. She stood quietly at the check-in counter in sweatpants and an old hoodie, her graying hair tied in a messy bun. The young employee gave her a quick glance and said, "This is a premium airline, ma'am. You don't belong here." Passengers nearby turned to stare. A few chuckled. One man whispered, "She probably took a wrong turn from the food court." She didn't argue. She simply nodded, stepped back, and walked away with grace. No one had any idea she built the entire airline from scratch. The sun was barely up over Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport. The rush had already begun. People pulled suitcases across polished floors. Announcements echoed through the terminal, and coffee lines stretched down the hall. Among the crowd moved a woman. Most didn't even notice. Amanda Taylor wore loose sweatpants, a faded green hoodie, and scuffed sneakers. Her face was bare, no makeup, no jewelry. She looked like someone's tired aunt on a last-minute trip. She carried only a worn brown duffel bag over her shoulder, with a small tag that read simply, "A. Taylor." As she approached the check-in desk, the airline's logo flashed brightly on a giant screen above. SKYRISE Airlines. Elevate your journey. That was her airline. Amanda had started 12 years ago with a dream and a second mortgage. What began as 2 leased jets and a team of 5 had grown into a company flying across the country. But hardly anyone ever saw her. She didn't care for press or pictures. Most of the world didn't even know a woman ran the place. And that was exactly how she liked it. She walked up to the counter, where 2 young staff members were laughing about something on a phone screen. Amanda cleared her throat gently. They glanced up, then back at each other with that shared look people give when they think they're dealing with someone unimportant. "Yes?" the taller one said, keeping his tone clipped. "Economy check-in is over there." Amanda reached into her pocket and handed over her boarding pass. "First class to San Diego," she said softly. The young woman behind the counter scanned it, frowned, then scanned it again. "This doesn't look right. You booked this?" Amanda nodded. "Yes, I do that sometimes." The woman looked her up and down, not even trying to hide the judgment in her eyes. "We just don't want any issues today," she said slowly, her voice lowering like Amanda might cause a scene. Amanda said nothing. She wasn't surprised. It had happened before. She stepped aside and moved towards security, where things didn't get any better. A TSA agent asked her twice if she was sure she was in the right line. Another officer gave her a full bag check without explanation. At one point, an older man behind her muttered, "I wish people would stop wasting everyone's time pretending to be something they're not." Amanda heard every word, but didn't flinch. She walked calmly toward Gate B12, where SKYRISE's sleek silver plane waited on the runway. She stood near the seating area, watching passengers stroll by in tailor coats and shiny shoes. Not one person looked her in the eye. An announcement called for first-class boarding. Amanda stepped forward, and just like clockwork, another gate agent raised a hand to stop her. "Ma'am, this gate is for SKYRISE Airlines. First class only," the woman said sharply. Amanda's lips barely moved, but her voice was steady. "I know." Still, they waved her off. She turned and walked to the window, watching her own plane taxi into place. No one had any idea the woman they were pushing aside was the very reason this airline even existed. Amanda sat quietly near the corner of the terminal, her hands folded in her lap. She watched passengers stroll past her, heels clicking, suits pressed, expensive carry-ons gliding beside them. A few glanced at her and looked away quickly, assuming she was out of place. She didn't mind the silence. She'd learned to live in it. But what still stung after all these years was how quickly people judged her, just by the way she looked. She thought back to the early days, back when she pitched the idea of SKYRISE to investors. Every room she walked into, the men barely looked her in the eye. One even said, "You're better off managing a travel agency, sweetheart." Another asked her if her husband had come up with the idea. But Amanda had smiled through it all. She got the funding. She built the brand. She hired the first pilots, signed the first contracts, and chose every single aircraft model. But she also made a choice early on, to stay invisible. She didn't like the spotlight. Whenever there was a press conference or a ribbon-cutting ceremony, she sent someone else, the COO, a partner, even a PR rep. She didn't want people to know her face. She didn't want them to know her money or her position. She wanted to see how people treated strangers. And now, once again, she saw the truth. She heard muffled laughter behind her. Two gate agents stood chatting just a few feet away. Some lady in sweats tried to board first class, the woman said. The man snorted, probably trying to sneak on. Like that doesn't happen every week. She even said she booked it herself, the woman added. I was like, sure, lady. Amanda blinked slowly, her chest tight. They were talking about her. Again, not knowing they were standing in front of the founder of their own company. This wasn't the first time. Last year, she boarded a flight out of Seattle in jeans and a flannel shirt. The flight attendant asked her if she was lost. When she showed her first-class ticket, the woman had whispered something into her headset, clearly assuming fraud. Amanda had let it go, but she remembered every word, every raised eyebrow, every fake smile. She tried not to let it break her, but she was human. Today was supposed to be a quiet trip. She had a personal meeting with an old mentor in San Diego, someone who once told her, people will never respect what they don't recognize. Amanda used to think that was wrong. Now, she wasn't so sure. She stood and walked slowly toward the gate again. Her boarding pass was still in her hand, slightly crumpled from her grip. She wasn't here to prove anything, but it still hurt to be treated like she didn't belong. As she approached, the same agent looked up, sighing with annoyance. Amanda paused. A quiet ache burned behind her ribs. She looked down at the logo on the side of the plane. Her logo. And still, not a single person had any idea who she really was. Should appearance decide how someone is treated at the airport or anywhere else? Amanda approached the gate again, her steps calm but heavy. She held out her boarding pass, but the gate agent didn't take it. I already told you, ma'am, the woman said with sharp edge. You're at the wrong gate. Amanda kept her voice low. I'm booked in seat 1A, first class, SKYRISE Airlines, non-stop to San Diego. The agent crossed her arms. We've had a lot of scammers lately. I'm not going to let you through just because you printed something off the internet. Amanda blinked. This isn't a printout. It was sent directly from the airline. You can scan it. The agent sighed like she was being bothered. She reached the scanner, hovered it over Amanda's pass, and frowned. It's not scanning. Amanda stayed quiet. The agent tried again, harder this time, like punishing the barcode would make it go away. Behind Amanda, the line began to grow. A man in a suit grumbled under his breath. A mother with a crying toddler stepped aside. The agent looked at Amanda, voice rising. You need to step away from the gate. Now. Amanda glanced at the screen. It still showed her flight number, her seat, her company. I'm just asking you to double-check, she said softly. I'm calling my manager. The woman snapped, already turning away. Minutes passed. Passengers passed her too, some glancing, others pretending not to notice. Amanda didn't budge. The manager came rushing up, tablet in hand, blazer swinging behind her. She didn't look at Amanda. She looked through her. What's going on here? She asked the agent. The agent gestured toward Amanda. She's trying to board first class with an invalid pass. Amanda reached out. I can explain. I don't have time for explanations. The manager cut her off. You're holding up the flight. Amanda's face didn't change, but inside her chest, something cracked. I'm booked on this flight, she said again, more firmly now. I don't care what you say, the manager replied. This boarding pass doesn't work. We don't allow walk-ons pretending to be customers. That one stung more than she expected. Ma'am, please leave this area, or we'll have to contact airport security. A hush fell around the gate. A few people took out phones. A young man nearby muttered, Seriously? She's not even yelling. Just let her on or check the pass again. But the manager ignored everyone. Final warning, she said. Amanda looked at her pass, then at the plane, then slowly back at the manager. All right, she whispered. She stepped aside. No fight, no raised voice. And then she walked away. She moved past the chairs, past a hallway with food courts, and into a quiet corner by a vending machine. There, she pulled out her phone. Her hands were steady. She dialed a number she hadn't used in months. A voice answered almost instantly. "Ms. Taylor?" "Trigger the audit," Amanda said calmly. "Everything. Gate staff, training logs, security cams. And I want the regional director on a plane tonight." The voice didn't hesitate. "Understood." Amanda ended the call. She looked back once, just once, toward the gate where she'd been humiliated. The people who dismissed her had no idea what was coming next. By the time Amanda's call ended, wheels were already turning behind the scenes. Her legal team worked fast, faster than most would expect. Within an hour, an internal alert hit the SKYRISE corporate system. A formal investigation was being launched into the conduct of staff at Gate B12. A copy of the gate footage was requested. A notice was sent directly to the chief operating officer's inbox. Immediate attention required. Founders Compliant Authority activated. No one had seen Amanda Taylor do this in over 5 years. By noon, the whispers had started. Directors were pulled from meetings. Department heads were told to cancel travel plans. The regional manager of the Dallas-Fort Worth hub, Daniel Grossman, was mid-lunch when he got the call. The color drained from his face as he listened. "Ms. Taylor is initiating a founder-level review," the voice said. "Wait, Amanda? Amanda Taylor?" The voice didn't repeat itself. Daniel stood so fast he knocked over his chair. Back at the terminal, Amanda had left quietly. She didn't need to stay and watch the scramble. She knew how fast her systems worked. She designed them that way, for moments like this, moments when the heart of a company needed reminding. The next morning, she walked into the Dallas regional headquarters. This time, she wasn't wearing sweatpants. She wore a tailored navy blue suit, soft silk blouse, and low heels. Her hair was neatly pulled back, a simple watch on her wrist. Her steps were slow, her face unreadable. As she entered the conference room, conversation stopped mid-sentence. A long table sat filled with SKYRISE senior staff, many of whom had never met her in person. Daniel Grossman stood at the head, sweating through his shirt. "Ms. Taylor," he stammered. We weren't expecting." Amanda raised a hand gently. "I know," she said. No one spoke. They could feel the weight in the air. Amanda walked to the front of the room and placed a small folder on the table. Inside, printed screenshots of gate transcripts, employee logs, and notes from the staff who had dismissed her. "I boarded my own plane yesterday," Amanda said softly. "Or tried to." A few people shifted in their seats. "I wore what I always wear when I travel. No name tag, no press, no title, just a woman, just a customer." Her voice never rose. But the room felt smaller now. And what I saw was a team so focused on image that it forgot its purpose. A company built to elevate people. Every person, not just the ones in shiny shoes. Daniel tried to speak. "Ms. Taylor, if we'd known it was you..." "That's the problem," Amanda said. "You shouldn't have to know." She looked around slowly. This company was built on kindness. My first 5 employees all came from jobs where they were overlooked or mistreated. I promised them SKYRISE would be different. Her eyes landed on the head of customer experience. And now, we're throwing people aside based on how they look. No one argued. Amanda turned to the door. "I'll be making some changes. Effective immediately." She paused. "And no, this isn't about me. It's about every passenger you've ever dismissed without knowing their story." Then she left the room. Her silence said more than any speech ever could. Would you treat someone differently if you knew they were the owner? Or would you treat everyone with respect? Amanda didn't make loud announcements. She didn't call for press conferences or public statements. That wasn't her style. But within 24 hours, her quiet decisions were felt across the company like a wave. The first email went out at 7:03 a.m. Subject: immediate termination, conduct violation. The gate manager who told Amanda to step away before security was called was dismissed with cause. Her badge access was revoked before her morning shift began. By noon, 2 more employees were suspended pending review. Internal interviews were underway. Amanda's HR team, reporting directly to her now, began pulling records, not just from Dallas, but from other major hubs as well. She wanted to know how deep this mindset ran. Then came the company-wide memo. It was short. just a few lines. At SKYRISE, we treat every person with dignity, no matter how they dress, how they speak, or what seat they're in. If you're here to serve only those who look important, you're in the wrong company. The message shook the ranks. In the Dallas office, people stared at their screens in silence. Some were embarrassed. Some were angry. Others were relieved, because not everyone agreed with how things had been running. Many had stayed quiet, afraid of losing their jobs. Now, for the first time, they felt seen. Amanda returned to headquarters for a final meeting that week. She stood in front of the full staff, managers, assistants, even interns. No cameras, just truth. I wasn't testing anyone, she began. I was traveling to visit an old friend, and I was treated like a liar. No one looked away. But it's not about me. It's about every single person who has ever been told, with a glance or a tone, that they don't belong. She paused. I built this company after being told I didn't belong, and I swore I'd never let us become the kind of place that made others feel the same. She turned to head of training and said calmly, starting next week, we're rebuilding our customer service program from the ground up. To the director of hiring, new screening questions. We're not just hiring for experience, we're hiring for empathy. Then she turned back to the team. I don't care if someone walks on board in sweatpants or a designer suit. They paid for their seat. They're flying with us. And that means they deserve respect. The room was quiet, but the energy had shifted. Amanda's voice softened. We will get this right. Because SKYRISE doesn't fly above people. We rise with them. Outside the office, word of what happened had already started spreading. A passenger who witnessed the gate incident posted a video describing what she saw and who the woman turned out to be. Within hours, news outlets picked it up. Woman denied boarding turns out to be Airline founder. Made headlines across the country. Public opinion exploded. Some people were outraged at the gate staff. Others were inspired by Amanda's humility. But the most common comment across social media was simple. She didn't raise her voice once. That's power. And quietly, Amanda watched from the background. She didn't want applause. She just wanted change. 3 months later, the same airport felt different. The walls were still gray, the floors still shiny, and the loudspeakers still called out delays and gate changes. But something deeper had shifted. At SKYRISE's terminal, the staff stood straighter. Their greetings were warmer. Passengers noticed it too. A sense of patience had returned. Like people remembered they were dealing with real lives, not just boarding groups and seat numbers. Amanda had returned to Dallas quietly. No press, no meetings. She walked to the terminal the same way she had that morning. Hoodie, sweatpants, messy bun, and the same old brown duffel bag on her shoulder. No one recognized her. And this time that made her smile. She stopped at a coffee cart and ordered a tea. The young woman behind the counter looked her in the eyes, smiled, and said, I hope your flight's smooth today. Amanda nodded gently. I think it will be. When she reached the check-in desk, a young man glanced at her boarding pass and said, First class to San Diego. You're all set, Ms. Taylor. Thank you for flying with us. No side eyes. No judgment. Amanda walked toward security. One TSA agent waved her through with a respectful nod. No extra bag checks or dismissive glances. She breezed through and headed toward her gate, where something stopped her in her tracks. There, just beyond the boarding area, a digital screen was mounted on the wall. SKYRISE values. Kindness. Patience. Respect for all travelers. Beneath it, a plaque had been added. Inspired by a woman who believed no one should have to look important to be treated with dignity. Amanda stood for a moment, her throat tight. Not far away, a young employee stood wiping down the check-in desk. She looked about 20, with nervous energy and a name tag that read Ellie. She looked up and noticed Amanda staring at the plaque. You okay, ma'am? She asked kindly. Amanda turned to her, offering a small smile. Yeah, that's a beautiful message up there. Ellie grinned. I love it. We just got new training based on her story. The founder lady, I mean. You heard about her. Amanda tilted her head. A little. Ellie leaned in a little, her voice softening. She got treated real bad once, right here. But instead of yelling or suing or whatever, she just fixed everything, like a real boss. Amanda's smile widened. Sounds like someone worth learning from. Ellie nodded proudly. We all think so. Changed how I see people now. Doesn't matter what they wear. Everyone's got a story. Amanda reached into her bag, pulled out a business card, and handed it over. You keep that attitude. SKYRISE needs people like you. Ellie took the card, confused, then looked down at the name. Amanda Taylor, founder and chairwoman, SKYRISE Airlines. Her jaw dropped. Amanda just winked and turned toward the gate. She boarded without anyone stopping her. No questions, no insults, just quiet respect. She took her seat in 1A, placed her duffel by her feet, and looked out the window as the plane lifted off. Far below, her company was flying smoother than ever, and this time it was finally rising for all the right reasons.